Video Game Show episode number 254. Have we got anything for it?
No, actually.
Seriously?
No.
It's been like 2 weeks.
I know, and I haven't really done anything in 2 weeks.
Just been playing a lot of old games.
New things. Phil, have you beaten that game yet, that Space Marine?
No, I've been busy trying to beat Titan Quest, the first go-around. And I finally did so. It was a little anticlimactic.
Really? I thought the battle with Hades was...
Here's why I found it rather anticlimactic. Well, Friday night I played a little bit, and I'd finally gotten into Hades' palace, and I decided I was going to continue on and see how far I could get through there. And I basically got to one room where there were the robotic sentries, and there was basically one guy that would do...
You found the blue sentry, didn't you?
I did, and that guy basically just...
That guy's a son of a bitch.
His stun basically does half your health worth of damage.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. So once he stuns you, he keeps approaching you, and he stuns you yet again. So it's really tough to, one, get in the room, and two, get away from the guy.
And he's not even a boss.
True, he is not a boss. But after about 10 minutes of dying to him and not being able to get into the room, I got really fed up and quit playing the game. So the following day, which would have been yesterday, Keith hopped on and we were kind of going through there. And lo and behold, once I got past that room, I would have gotten into Hades' room. So it was kind of a kick in the nuts.
Well, you got lucky then, actually, because there's a couple of places where that guy can show up.
Okay.
So if you didn't get to him until the room right before Hades is his room, then you got lucky.
Actually, it might have been the second last room, because then the last room is the room with the last two crystals that you have to destroy.
Yeah, but there's no bad guys in that room. So.
Correct. So technically, it's the last room with...
The last room with monsters, yeah.
Monsters, right.
But like I said, he can show up in a couple of different places. So he doesn't get any better either. On Epic, he's just as bad. Like, you can blow through most of the stuff. By the time you get to that level, you can blow through most of the monsters pretty easily. There's a couple of monsters that like shoot poison or something like that are, they're not tough, but they shoot poison, and if you're not careful, you wind up dying.
Right, yeah, it's real tough in that game to stack your resistances, but yet keep your dexterity and strength up so that you can wear your equipment. It's just that numbers game that you gotta play.
There's another guy in there that's shortly before that room, and he is I think more accurately a she. She's nasty too, because she spits out some sort of AoE bomb thing that drains all of your mana, like, instantly.
Right, yeah, it's just kind of like one of those harpies, like the harpy type chicks. They put those down and they drain your mana and your life all at the same time. And I think it slows you too, which makes it twice as hard to get out.
Correct. So yeah, I knew exactly which guy you were talking about, because that guy has one-shot me several times. About the only way to defeat him easily is to kill him before he can get off any of his special moves that do that. Mm-hmm. Or if you're an archer, as you are, what is it? I think it's volley or puncture shots or scatter shots, one of those. The one that makes that cool noise that sounds like a metal arrow hitting off of armor. It goes plink, plink, plink. Mm-hmm. It usually goes off when you fire into a large group of monsters. If you can get that blue guy into the mix with 2 or 3 of the yellow golem guys, then you do like AoE damage to all of them and they all die very quickly. That's about the only other way I've found to kill that guy before he kills you.
Yeah, I probably should have just, after the first couple times, just maybe started a new game and found another way to get in that room, because basically...
At some point, I mean, the only other thing you could do would be to reload the game, get to that point, and hope that a blue guy doesn't spawn, because I'm pretty sure he's like random. You know, you get the yellow guys and the blue guys, and it's random if you get the blue guy.
Right. Well, the worst part was I kept dying at the bottom of the stairs, so the guy was standing at the bottom of the stairs, so I couldn't even see him until I got to the bottom of the stairs, and really couldn't even fight him.
The other thing that you're going to have to do now that you have passed normal mode, if you decide to start doing epic mode, I never thought it was a useful ability, but you probably should put points into monster lure, which drops a decoy. Now, you wouldn't think that is very useful, but what it does is it puts out a little scarecrow target dummy, but it also spits out an AoE taunt. So when you get to monsters that you can't, especially bosses that you can't beat because of that kind of thing, because as an archer you've got crap for armor, it's like having a Keith there. That's, how you got through there by having Keith there to take all the damage while you sat in the back and shot. It allows you to sit in the back and shoot while somebody else is taking all the damage. And like I said, I never thought it was useful at all until I think it might have been while I was trying to beat Hades by myself without Keith, and I couldn't do it because, I mean, it would be possible, but you'd literally have to constantly run around in circles, maybe getting one shot off before you move again. And in a battle with like Hades, that's one of those things where it would take like an hour and a half, and that's not fun. So I needed some way to have somebody grab his attention while I shot, because the thing was I could, if I was just doing damage and not taking any from him, I could kill him in 15, 20 seconds. I do a ton of damage. I just can't take any at all. So you might want to think about starting to put some points into that monster lore. It helps a lot.
Yeah, because I picked Earth as my second to get the core the core golem or whatever, and he does okay and just with normal monsters and stuff, but when you get to the bosses and stuff, he's pretty much dead in a couple hits.
Yeah, the monster lore actually survives quite a bit longer than you'd think it would. I just finished the game on epic level, and so I had to fight Hades on epic, and it was a trivial fight because of that monster lore. It actually lasts quite a while, and the cooldown is very low. It's got like a 10 or 15 second cooldown, so you can even drop another one before the first one's dead, and then actually have it as a backup. So,
that's good to know.
So, what level is your guy there, Ivan, in Titan Quest? How far have you gone?
My highest level guy is currently level 51. She is a archer / nature person. And I found that there's not a whole lot of complementary abilities to archery unless you did like defense so that you could do a lot of damage and have a lot of armor type abilities, so you actually could survive, which probably would be a good idea. Unfortunately, it's a little late to switch now. So I picked nature, and honestly, the only thing I do with nature, so I've put all of my points into as many hunting skills as I wanted. I picked up nature, but I didn't put any points into it. And then I went back and I've just been putting all of my points into the wolf tree so that I have 2 wolves. But honestly, the wolves don't. I mean, I do way more damage than the wolves do. And when you're playing by yourself, it's really more just to have 2 little wolves following you around for company. That's really all they do. I mean, they do some damage and they'll run off and maybe kill one guy while I'm killing a group of, 50 others. but they aren't as aren't there for as much of anything else other than, company, because they certainly don't taunt or anything. So, I mean, they'll take damage, but usually you do more damage, and since they don't taunt, if you're fighting a boss or something like that, they're not going to taunt a boss off of you. They add a little bit of damage, and they will distract guys sometimes for you, but that's about it. But yeah, level 51. I just finished today. I was playing around, didn't have much to do today, so I was playing Titan Quest for a while, and I went through all of the level right before Hades Castle and Hades Castle today, and then beat Hades. So my level 51 archer is now officially in legendary mode.
And what's the max? I forget. What's max level in Titan Quest?
Level, I don't know. I think it's pretty high now, like 70s or 80s. I know Keith has got a couple of guys that are in the high 60s, low 70s, I think. I would have to look it up, honestly. Most of the gear and stuff, I don't think I've ever seen anything with a gear requirement of level higher than level like 55 or something like that. So I'm not sure what the level cap is, but I think it's pretty high, like maybe 70 something. But once you get past legendary, my understanding from what Keith tells me, legendary mode is basically just loot drop mode. Like you will go through legendary. You have to do all the quests and everything, just like you did the first two times, and then basically you just run through beating bosses, and after you've beat legendary mode, you just run through and fight bosses and stuff, looking for those legendary purple gear drops. So it kind of becomes what Diablo did once we had finished it, which was doing like Bale runs or whatever the last guy was. That's the only thing I was going to say. So I haven't done anything new. That's what I was doing today, and that's what I've been doing. The past 2 weeks, I think I've played Left 4 Dead with Bob and Keith, and some Titan Quest is all I've really been doing.
And when did they add that cold stream to Left 4 Dead? I never played that one before.
Yeah, it's been a little while, I think. They added probably like a year ago, they added that, it's called the Sacrifice, and basically what that level is, it's weird. It kind of introduces the new characters by having the new characters meet the old characters, and the way the story is supposed to go is, oh crap, what's the old dude's name?
Bill.
Bill is supposed to sacrifice himself. Basically, you get to a level, if you guys haven't played it, you get to a level, you have to turn on 3 generators to drop down this big, huge, giant bridge. Kind of like a drawbridge or something, I don't know. It's a huge bridge. You have to turn on these 3 generators, and this bridge comes down so that you can walk across it. And basically what happens is you turn on these 3 generators, and of course every time you turn a generator on, another horde of zombies comes at you. You turn on these 3 generators, and you run over to where the bridge is, and it comes down about halfway, and it stops because one of the generators shuts off. So you probably don't want everybody, but one person is supposed to run back and turn that generator back on. But the problem is once you do that, you get so swarmed by zombies that there's really no way for you to live. And if I remember correctly, because we've only played it once or twice up to that level, I think you kind of instantly die once you turn that generator on anyway. So that's why that level's called the Sacrifice. One person has to sacrifice themselves. And like I said, if you play the way you're supposed to, there's even an achievement. If Bill is the one to sacrifice himself, that's the way it's supposed to work out. So they added that, and then Coldstream just kind of popped up one day. We were playing, and I don't even really remember hearing about, reading about it in news or anything about that level even existing. We were playing one day, and we just decided to play it, and none of us had played it before. So it was actually really, really cool because it was a level none of us had ever played before. So it was new, and it's very tough. You almost need to play it on easy or normal first just to kind of get a sense for what you're playing. And if you play it on anything higher than that, it's extremely tough. So if you play it on advanced or expert, it's very, very hard. Mainly just because there's lots of tight quarters, like there's a stairwell that you have to walk down, and as you are walking down this stairwell, there's this constant stream of zombies coming up at you. So it's a huge horde too. It's not your normal horde of like 40 zombies that all kind of come at you 2 and 3 at a time. It's a huge wave. The one way that we managed, I don't even remember what difficulty we were playing on. The only way we managed to get through it was Keith found a chainsaw, and he walked in front of everyone with chainsaw blazing just basically all the way down the stairs, and then we would pick off anybody who he didn't happen to instantly kill. And that was the only way we could make it through that section. Because otherwise, it's just overwhelming. There's just so many zombies coming at you. It's a fun level, though. But yeah, as far as when it came out, I'm not even sure, to tell you the truth.
So nothing else. How about iOS 5? How do you like iOS 5, Ivan?
A little disappointed, only because there's not lots of fun stuff to play with. Doesn't really do anything for you for games. They didn't. It's not like when they added Game Center or anything like that. I don't even think they updated Game Center at all. It's got some new features. It's got a newsstand feature, so you can read magazines if you're into that sort of thing. About the only cool thing that is actually somewhat useful is the little message center. So if you swipe from the top of the screen down to the bottom, it's got a little message center that's got like all of your information at a glance there. It's got your weather and your stocks, if you have any, tracking any stocks, and then any reminders or messages or emails that you have unread. It shows up on there. Man, Reminders is about the only kind of cool feature. It's got a new application called Reminders, where basically it's like you need to buy paper towels or something. You put in a reminder to buy paper towels, which isn't all that cool. But the cool thing is you can set a reminder to go off when you reach a location. So you can put in the address of your local grocery store so that next time you pull into the grocery store parking lot, a reminder goes off that says, hey, buy paper towels. So that's kind of cool, I thought.
I saw an example of that on Jimmy Fallon this week. Guy was doing a demo, and yeah, that seems pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice if you're like me and you make a note to buy something when you're out of it so that you don't forget, but then when you get to the store, you forget to check your notes to see what you're supposed to buy. That kind of thing. It's kind of cool for that, but as far as having an entire new operating system just for that feature, that's kind of disappointing. The cloud stuff is cool. Every time your phone is on a Wi-Fi network and shut off, it uploads all of your stuff, your pictures, your other stuff, calendar updates, those kinds of things. It uploads all that crap to the cloud and then downloads it to any of your other devices, so that's kind of handy. I think it'll be really cool when they enable music stuff over the cloud so that you can back up all of your music to the cloud and then download it on any of your devices, that kind of thing. I think that'll be cool. I don't know when that's supposed to come out, but it's not out yet. I don't have the 4S, so I don't have some of the other stuff. I don't have that Siri voice. I don't even know what you would call it.
Voice assistant.
Voice assistant thing. I don't have that, so I can't really play with that. It looks like something that would be a minor fun thing to do a couple of times and to show people, look how cool my phone is. But in practice, I don't know how often I would use that kind of thing. Like if I want to know what the weather's going to be like, I'm more the type of person to just tap on the weather app and bring that up. Or if I want to look something up, I would look it up on you. Like how many quarts are in 15 gallons or something like that. I would probably look that up online than ask the assistant thing. I could see some uses for it, but again, I mean, to have something that you use once a month or once every couple of months, that's not game changing for me. Although one thing I just remembered, one thing that is game changing, that is freaking awesome as all hell, is they call it iMessage, which is essentially iPhone to iPhone SMS, actually MMS messages. You can send pictures, video, or text to somebody else who has an iPhone, and it's free. So if I send a text message to Chad right now, it doesn't cost me anything with my carrier. It doesn't, I don't have to pay for it. And the thing is the majority, the one person I text the most is Mary. A couple hundred texts a month with her, and she soon will have an iPhone capable of doing that, so that'll save me that money. I went through my AT&T usage thing about a week ago just to see who I text message on a regular basis. And I think out of, say, 10 or 12 people that I received or sent text messages to in that month, like 90 to 95% of them were people who use iPhones. There was like one person who I text probably a dozen times a month who doesn't have an iPhone. So I'm seriously thinking of saving myself whatever it is, 10 or 15 bucks a month by dropping my texting plan. Because I really won't need it anymore. AT&T has two text plans now. Either no text plan, where you get charged 20 cents a text message, which doesn't sound like a lot. It's one text message, that's less than a quarter. But, 100 text messages a month, and you're going to feel that pain. And then so they have no text message plan, and then they have an unlimited one, which costs you $20 a month. So if you receive anything less than 100 text messages a month, you're better off without a text message plan. It would be cheaper. You know what I mean? Because once you hit 100, that's $20. So, if you get more than 100, and I'm up to somewhere between, it's obnoxious. I think at my peak, I had 800 text messages in a month. But then again, 500 or so of them were, to Mary. So I get like no text messages, certainly less than 100. So that's one thing that is probably pissing off the cellular carriers, because they make so much money off text messaging. I read somewhere that it costs them less than a third of a cent or something like that in stuff to carry a text message over their network, yet they charge you 20 cents to send or receive one. So the markup on text messaging is ludicrous. And not to mention, right now they only have two plans where they charge you 20 cents a text message or $20 a month. They are making a killing with text messaging. So something like iMessage is just absolutely devastating to them. Now, they'll make their money someplace else if they don't make money on text messaging, obviously. But it's just funny that something is so small, like free text messages, would just kill some of their revenue like that. And the way that it works on the iPhone is just awesome. It just knows if you're texting somebody with an iPhone or not. There's no separate application. You don't have to do anything different. You just send a text message to somebody, and if they have an iPhone with iOS 5, then it shows up in blue instead of green, and so that you know that you're sending an iMessage instead of a text message. So it's freaking awesome.
So that's only iPhone to iPhone. That doesn't go to different carriers or other.
It's iOS device to iOS device. So actually, I could
okay.
send a message to Chad that he can read on his iPad and reply, and I can read on my iPad if I wanted to. It doesn't matter. The carrier doesn't matter, though, so you could be on any carrier. But yes, it is iOS 5 device to iOS 5 device.
Okay, so Apple device to Apple device, so you couldn't do it with like an Android type of phone or anything like that? Gotcha.
Correct, yeah. No, you cannot. But, other than that, I mean, I'm not, like, saying it's crappy and they dropped the ball or anything like that, I mean, this was the 4S was an interim phone kind of thing. It wasn't, the next generation phone. It's the same form factor, size, shape as the iPhone 4. Basically, it's got new hardware faster hardware inside, and a better camera is really the only major differences, and then the software. So I guess it's okay, but it's not like I'm not running around telling everybody how awesome iOS 5 is and showing them all these cool features kind of thing. So that's kind of why I say I'm disappointed. There wasn't anything super cool and awesome that, I'm playing with all the time because it's so cool. It's really just kind of background stuff that makes your life a little easier. The being able to launch the phone from the lock screen without having to unlock your phone, launch the phone app or the camera app to get ready to take a picture, that's kind of nice too. But, again, it's just more of a ease of living kind of thing.
I heard the other kind of important thing was the improved antenna. So I know a lot of people with AT&T were complaining about drop calls constantly.
Well, yeah, they put a new antenna in the new 4S. Obviously, that doesn't fix my phone. But it's like dual antennas. So now if you hold the phone the one way that you hold it, that causes the signal to drop. Doesn't cause an issue anymore. But that whole thing was kind of blown out of proportion. I mean, you have to hold the phone a very specific way, and you have to hold it very tightly, and it's in such a way that nobody ever really holds their phone kind of thing.
Unless you're trying to break it.
Unless you're trying to prove that it actually breaks by doing it that way. It's kind of poor engineering. They probably shouldn't have done it that way, but there was plenty of easy ways around it. Don't hold it that way. Hold it with your other hand. Move your hand out of the way. They needed to fix it, obviously. Mm-hmm. If they made the 4S and it had the exact same antenna problem, they wouldn't have. It would have been bigger than when the 4 came out, and whoever discovered the antenna issue would have been even bigger than that. So they had to fix it. But yeah, I never really had much of an issue with it anyway. So
well, okay then. I think we're at a half hour, by the way.
Somehow, without having anything to talk about, we managed to talk for 31 minutes.
So that was pretty good for Video Game Show episode number 254.